Welcome to another episode of the Marathon Mindset Podcast. Today, I'm super excited. I've got a guest that I don't know personally, but I've been following you for a minute, and wanted to get you in here because of your entrepreneur journey. And but I wanted to also just hear the story, right? Hear the story behind everything that you've been doing, everything that you've done. And so I'm happy to introduce Ricky Ortiz. And welcome, man.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
Yeah. So for the people who don't know right now, El Camino, food truck park, downtown San Antonio. I've been following the page for a minute, and it's been pretty, the following behind it and the marketing that you're doing and everything with it caught my attention, and just seeing all the things that you guys been doing there in the food truck park. But tell me a little bit about that and kind of how you got into that, man.
Well, I opened El Camino in 2021, like May 2021. It took a few years to get that development off the ground, being an undeveloped lot in the downtown area. I actually acquired the lease in 2018, early 2018.
Okay.
And it had some time in there to do the build out and stuff. But with, if you're familiar with development in San Antonio, especially in the downtown area with HDRC and all of the obstacles that you got to go through to do anything,
Right.
Especially on the Riverwalk, it took a lot.
Yeah.
And it was my first shot at developing too, so it was a lot of learning involved in that, and mistakes, and a lot of money wasted or spent. But my background prior to that was actually a food truck that I was pretty successful with, called Holy Smoke.
Okay.
I had a Holy Smoke barbecue, and crushed it with the food truck business.
How long was that?
About a year.
Okay.
Prior to El Camino.
Okay.
El Camino was already in the works, but I was running out of money, and I was like, okay, well, I need a Hail Mary, so loaded up my credit, bought a food trailer, and did one concept. It failed in the first few months. And I did, it was a Chicago style hot dogs, and I was on the St. Mary Strip over at High Tones.
Okay.
So this was pre-COVID. It was about 6 months pre-COVID. Didn't work out. Hot dogs is a tough sell in a majority Latino city. I mean, it's 50-50, right? We're a big part of the population here. And, you put it next to tacos and pizza, it just didn't work out.
Gotcha.
So, the beautiful thing about a food truck is being able to change gears and make adjustments as you go to the menu pretty easy.
Yeah.
So I just did a complete overhaul of the menu and went more barbecue.
Okay.
But like Mexican barbecue, kind of like, brisket tacos, things like that.
Okay.
And it just blew up. I mean, this was the beginning of COVID, and there was a lot of businesses shut down, with the city, restrictions of, operating and things like that for the health department. So yeah, man, I mean, Holy Smoke blew up, and that kind of helped me get to the finish line of opening El Camino.
So on the food truck with the barbecue, so during COVID, was there any restrictions on food trucks at that time?
So we were pretty much built to go, for mobile ordering. I don't know if you remember, but you could operate, but you had to have to go. There was only maybe about a week shutdown, I think, where everything was closed.
Okay.
But I think drive-thrus were still open. I can't remember clearly, but I remember to go being the thing. Was like, hey, You can operate, but it's got to be to go, curbside, delivery only, type deal, right?
Okay.
So that killed, I don't know what the percentages, but I'm pretty sure it had to be something like 90% of the businesses in town.
Yeah.
Everybody's scrambling to do a curbside or to do, mobile to go ordering. I just remember countless businesses closing down completely.
Yeah.
So in a food truck, we never shut down. There was never a day that we shut down. We did have a lot of health department visits with, customers standing 6 feet away and all that stuff. But in the truck, I mean, we just masked up and, kept it going.
Yeah.
Luckily, no one ever got sick in the truck. We never had any issues with COVID during the shutdown phase. But anyway, so, that was pretty much the start in the food business for me. Was very successful with that truck. But if you're a food operator in town, and, I think a lot of people can relate to it that are in the business, if you don't love it and you got something else better to do that's making more money, do it.
Yeah.
So as soon as El Camino opened and got off the ground, I kind of started stepping away from the food truck business because it's very hard to be in the food business, but food trucks are harder. There's a lot more moving parts. Everything is mobile. There's a lot more headaches with logistics and operating in general. So I just felt it was the smartest move for me to step away from that. So I leased out I have like 6 trucks or 7 trucks or something like that. So I started leasing out all my trucks. I did other concepts as well. I have a pizza truck, and Holy Smoke had two trailers, 2 trucks, and things like that. And I had a Mexican truck. So I was like, you know what, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm just little by little started just leasing out all my equipment, all my trucks and trailers, and started focusing more on the bar growth.
So you talk about the food business. I mean, so what did you do before the food business? Before you started the food truck business?
Marketing mainly.
Okay.
That's been my background probably for about 13 years, about 2010.
Okay.
Right around there. Started with music videos, and I had a bunch of rapper friends and stuff like that, and made music and recorded music and things like that. But I quickly learned that there was no money in that. Dealing with artists and stuff, it's just a passion project.
Sure.
There's hardly any people that want to spend a few $100s, let alone thousands of dollars for video production when it comes to music. So I quickly learned the skills to edit video, and I got into more commercial production. Okay. Kind of like before social media was even a thing, except for YouTube being the main one, and Facebook and things like that. Video wasn't big, but YouTube was king, for video, and Facebook and Instagram hadn't really adopted that yet.
Right.
So I was, definitely an early to the game, and as far as early adopter to video production, video editing, and things like that. So anyway, basically handling marketing for customers for my clients. Ended up kind of just getting a few good jobs along the way over the years.
Okay.
Some very good jobs. Handling marketing, being a marketing director for multiple companies, and it was in 2017. My brother was killed in a car accident, and it was kind of just a life. Everything life turned upside down. Was just trying to find something to, pass the time basically, and I had stepped away from working with a couple of the clients that I had, and had done very well there, and I was like, you know what, I don't really need to stress doing anything so much to get a big payday. Let me just go back to the strip club, because I'd worked in the clubs on and off throughout the years. So I had actually gotten a manager position at a local gentleman's club, Perfect 10, with mainly to also handle the marketing.
Okay.
So it was because I knew that if I was able to get sales up, and alcohol, that money would come in. And I mean, it's a crazy business to be in, but the money is really good.
Okay.
Cash and all that stuff.
Sure.
Right. So I had already had El Camino kind of in my mind as a vision, because, as what my brother, what he did, before he was killed was, he managed a bunch of bars for a group here in town. It was like Beer Goggles and Leaky Barrel, Helix, and Bruise Brothers, and all this stuff, right? So he was the regional for all of those bars. And prior to that, he had about 7 or 8 years in the strip club industry being a manager.
Okay.
So I mean, I knew the business well, but I also knew that there was a demand for marketing, because nobody did it.
Right.
It was
or did it good.
It did it good. There was no competition. I mean, if you're familiar with anything in the nightclub or the nightlife industry here, even to this day, people post a flyer that they make and think that that's marketing, right?
Yeah.
That's advertising or promoting an event.
Yeah.
It's not,
Right.
So, that background is honestly, it's kind of like, it's shaped my entire, entrepreneurial life, but also has, kept me fed. I mean, it's paid the bills for a long time, just because it's, even to this day, still a skill set that people are learning. Everybody has a phone in their hands, and now Instagram makes it pretty user friendly to make a reel.
Right.
But even to that, there's still it's a wide range of skills, right? Yeah. How you can be just an average, user and be good at making reels, but if you have any sort of what do you call it, marketing,
Like an eye for it.
like an eye for it,
Yeah.
or techniques and things like that. Editing, you can get really crazy into your editing, shooting higher quality videos, lighting, all that stuff. I mean, sky's the limit when it comes to, you could do something real basic, or you
Right.
can, put some money behind it and make a good marketing for your business.
Gotcha, man. Well, I'm sorry for your loss on your brother, man. Are you the oldest?
Yeah, I'm the oldest. Yeah,
Okay.
so he was my younger brother.
Okay.
I have my brother and then my two sisters.
Okay.
So of the four, I'm the oldest.
Okay. And are y'all from San Antonio, or y'all moved here?
I mean, I moved here when I was 13. So
Okay.
I'm from Chicago.
Okay.
We're all from Chicago.
Okay.
And I came here as a young teenager. But I mean, I've lived here longer than I lived in Chicago. So to me, it's more like I'm from here now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I visit Chicago rarely now. I mean, I used to go every year, but I like San Antonio a little bit better. It's more chill.
Okay. Cool, man. Where did you go to high school?
I didn't really go to high school.
No. Okay.
Yeah, I dropped out.
Okay.
I mean, I guess technically I went to Churchill for a little bit.
Okay.
But then it was what is that? That suspension school that they send you to, alternative.
Oh, alternative school.
Yeah, and then I just got expelled and I dropped out.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I got in a lot of trouble as a teenager.
They always ask that question here. I'm not from San Antonio either,
Yeah.
but that's what they're always like. What high school did you go to? And so I guess that tells them where you're from, like part of the town.
Yeah, no, school was it just wasn't for me. I mean, being here with just my mom and stuff, I mean, it was easy to get distracted into things and stuff, but I mean, I grew up in Chicago. All my family is, my dad's side of the family are all entrepreneurs. I mean, they've all worked for themselves.
Okay.
I don't think any of them have ever had any jobs. I mean, except for maybe corporate positions and things like that. My dad, I've just seen him come up from building furniture to having his own upholstery shop and things like that, right?
Okay.
And then eventually getting into the real estate and property management.
Okay.
And then now he's a corporate executive or now he's actually consulting for like companies like Blackstone and multifamily, things like that.
All right, cool. So when we're talking about El Camino, because you have more than one project.
Yeah.
I saw that you've got another one closer to the Pearl, and then you've got also a brick and mortar coming up.
I have 2 brick and mortars coming up.
2, okay.
Yeah, so Holy Smoke was the foundation for sure. El Camino, once that opened up, that became the foundation. That's like, what really set up the growth. Right now, obviously we're in a downtrend with whatever, the economy and the crazy hot summer that we had, that was brutal. But those first 2 years did set us up. It paved the way to do the second location, and then from there, the second location and El Camino is paving the way for the third and fourth location. So with El Camino, I wanted to double down on it, so I did Bésame over on Grayson.
Okay.
It's a block away from the Pearl.
And how is that different from El Camino? Because I haven't been there.
It's a little more refined.
Okay.
The bar is nicer, I think, and the inside, we have an indoor bar. El Camino is 100% outdoors. Bésame has a small inside bar that seats about 30 people, 30 people, give or take.
Okay.
And then it also has an outdoor bar.
Okay.
Has less food trucks, but I don't know. It's just it's also a little nicer aesthetically. I mean, we got cover, we got, it's just nicer all around, I think, so the cocktails inside the bar, we can do more craft. So it's more, you can get a basic shot and a beer, or you can get, a nice, classic cocktail.
Okay. And what are the 2 other locations? So these are going to be brick and mortar, right? Like they're restaurants.
Yeah. I think with the summer, it kind of drove me to want to kind of diversify a little bit. I took on a little more than I could chew, but I'm handling it. It's 1 was already was a big project.
Yeah.
I took over the Cantina spot over on Babcock.
Okay.
Where Babcock and Days of Olive meet.
Yeah.
And it's an old bar that got shut down actually during COVID. The operators kept opening and disregarding the shutdown and just opened.
Got it.
And made news several times. I think they made national news on that one. But, the city found a way to take away the C of O, because of that. And then it just pretty much ended, that business.
Yeah.
So, the place was a wreck. I mean, it needed a full remodel. They gutted that place. I mean, they just pretty much trashed it because of, whatever reason.
Yeah.
So anyways, I took over that lease and you know, see a lot of potential in that. I'm actually it was just a bar before with some kind of weird, you know, half kitchen. Now I made it full kitchen. You know, we're gonna do a fried chicken concept called Perfect Tender.
Okay.
So I'm kind of aiming more towards the Hooters Twin Peaks style,
Okay.
you know,
Because
concept.
of the college area, or
Because it's the college area and things like that. I'm gonna make it a little more family friendly. We're not gonna be doing any lingerie nights or anything like that. But I'm gonna keep it, you know, I'm gonna make it fun, but still just safe and family friendly, like I said. But you know, we're doing Nashville style hot chicken. The menu's gonna be great. You know, the chicken's gonna be good. We're gonna have a couple burger options on there.
Yeah.
But you know, small space is only 3,200 square feet. I mean, in seating, it's only maybe 2,000 square feet, if that.
Okay.
You know, so I definitely want to make it fun and just good food for the area, because there's definitely a demand for it. I mean, that part of town, there's a ton of development going on, but I don't know what San Antonio's fascination with car washes is.
Or storages.
Or storage facilities, which I'm not hating, man. People,
Sure.
you know, like if you're in that business, you know, good for you, right? But
Yeah.
I mean, we have enough car washes, you know, like, I mean, people don't even wash their car that much.
Yeah.
You know, I'll go maybe once a month. I don't need, you know, there's one on every corner.
Right. So that leads to my question, because I literally was thinking the same thing. I was going, why right now, or not right now, but just why going from the food truck park, from the food truck to go taking the risk into like a full-fledged restaurant, right? Because that's riskier, isn't it? Isn't it? Like, is it because of?
I mean, everything has a risk.
Yeah.
You know.
But then the food truck part.
So the patio season,
Yeah.
you know, nice weather season, spring, fall,
Yeah.
crushing it. Everything's good. And even right now, where we have amazing weather, there's just something going on with spending and tipping and the way people are spending their money.
Yeah.
It's just not the same as it was in 2021, 2022.
Right.
Where, I mean, it's just typical in any, you know, crazy event in history. I mean, you could blame, you know, politics or whatever. I don't believe in that, because I think that's all just a distraction.
Yep.
The reality is we had a crazy event. You know, we're on this big spike up where now people are spending money and they're printing money, and all this, you know, the stuff is going on with the economy, with an injection of money coming in PPP loans and you know, all that stuff, right? So it's great. Everybody's spending money, but now here we are 3 years after that, and now we're on the downtrend. So I think that it's going to be like this for another couple years, and then, you know, they're going to call it a recession, and then we'll turn right back up, and then people will start spending money again. So, you know, as far as the risk goes, I think for me, it's a safer move to diversify, because, you know, aside from the economy, when you factor in, you know, the extreme weather that we have, which is nothing new. It's Texas. It's always been like that. You know, I mean, we hit that 117 mark on the heat index. That was wild. I mean, it felt like hell, you know, like outside, it's just insanely hot. Yeah. And then you imagine, you know, think about it. If it's 117 on the heat index, what do you think it is in a food truck where you have, you know, some crappy air conditioner with, you know, that doesn't really pump out air. It just circulates hot air. Right. And then you have a flat top right in front of you, and there's 3 people in the truck. I mean, it's 130 something degrees in that truck. Yeah. You know, you got to step out every 5 minutes and hydrate and go cry in the walk-in cooler. I mean, it's brutal. Yeah. So, you know, going through summer kind of just, you know, I need to do something different. I need to have something for the hot months, and the cold months is only 2-3 months. Yeah. That's nothing, you know, like we get Februarys are always terrible. Januaries are I looked at the last 4 or 5 Januaries on the history for the weather and stuff, and this last one was great. I mean, we had 80-degree January almost all month, and then February hit, and we had that 2-week you know, freeze, and then we're back to normal in mid-March. Yeah. So but the heat, you know, that lasts a long time. Mm-hmm. You know, this one went from June all the way through September with 100-degree weather. Yeah. You know, nonstop. Yeah. You know, so that's 4 months of terrible sales. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And you know, when you include winter, let's just call it 5-6 months total. 5 months of you know, volatile weather and low sales. To me, it's like, okay, if I need to step into a brick and mortar to kind of offset that a little bit, because, you know, looking at looking at all the data for TABC sales and things like the public information. Yeah. People weren't indoor businesses weren't really struggling during the summer that much. It did have a little bit of a downtrend because it's summer and people are on vacation and kids are out of school and all that stuff. It's typical, right? But they didn't take as big of a hit as the outdoor spots did. Okay. You know, during the summer. So I know that commercial real estate has a lot of volatility to it. I mean, in general, restaurants do. I mean, what is it like?
That's where I was coming from.
50% fail in the first, year.
Yeah.
And then after that, another, I think, what is it? I forgot the numbers, but there's a high failure rate.
Right.
And, I have 2 good concepts under my belt that do well and pay the bills. It can support the brick and mortars in those, down months, okay. Right? I think they'll all, help each other out.
Okay.
So,
well, and the only reason I'm asking those questions is not in a way of like, why do you think you can do that? It's more of like the background, right? Going into like, so full-fledged entrepreneur. Because I mean, and this is why I like the story, because it's like, I watched most of your Instagram posts when you created your page, and you're kind of talking about your journey and talking about the different things and the ups and the downs and stuff like that. And that talked to me because like that's what I like to, kind of do. And at the same time, people's stories about it, because it's relatable. Right. And I like the one that you were talking about, like, how do you do these things? Like Google it, like look this stuff up. And so I'm like, listening to your previous, what you did before, for work. And then at the same time, like, how did you get into this? And then going, so what has been your biggest help, like going into food truck business, now going into the restaurant business? And is it just like trial and error, kind of what, like that part of it?
I mean, Google, Google, YouTube. Like, I mean, man, everything is there. Like, I try not to get annoyed with people because I don't want to come off as somebody that thinks they know it all, because I don't.
Right.
But just straight up, man, the level of stupidity is just insane with people. It's just like people don't think about things,
right.
And because if you thought enough about something to even ask the question, to ask for help, then why not just use your smartphone, right, and go to the place that literally has all the information. Right. It's in the palm of your hand. So I hate to call people stupid, but it's just like it's there. Like you need to ask the question.
I don't even know if it's stupid. I think it's lazy, because it's like
a little bit of everything, a little bit of both.
Right? They don't want to do that. They don't want to do the work. They don't want to look it up.
Yeah.
They don't want to like have to think.
They want to give
it
it to them.
Right.
It's entitlement. It's
100%.
Laziness. It's a little bit of stupidity, because some of the questions that I get asked, I mean, people will blow our Instagram page up asking for our phone number, and then be like, we don't have a phone number. What's your question? What's your address? I mean, people used to look us up on Google to get our phone number when I had a phone number, for holy smoke.
Yeah.
They'll call and be like, hey, what's your address? It's right there on the internet,
Yeah.
So people don't, whatever. I mean, it's human nature now, and people don't pay attention, and they're lazy, and they don't think, about anything other than, hey, like, give me the answers. Right. I mean, the audacity of some people is pretty crazy, because I even have aspiring entrepreneurs get my phone number somehow from somebody through a mutual friend, whatever, or call me on Instagram. I've gotten that plenty of times, or Facebook, and start conversation with me to ask me exactly how I built my business.
Yeah. Like,
I'm talking about everything from how I laid out my infrastructure, how did I do the architectural design? How did I get my permits? All this stuff. I'm like, hey man, I can definitely help you out with some consulting, or if you want a partner, I mean, we could talk about that too. Yeah. But I get it. It's kind of maybe the first instinct to, reach out to somebody that has done something that you aspire to do. Mm-hmm. But it's I mean, you got to do your own legwork.
100%.
And the fact that it's all there on Google, it's like, okay, you're not even, that's free. Yeah. You're not having to call nobody and ask them those questions. You can just do some research. And everything that I've done, I've learned on Google. I don't have any mentors or people that I can just call and be like, hey man, like, how do I do this? How did you do this? I don't have a lot of business owner friends. I mean, I'm building them up little by little, and I have a few, right? But they're not people that I've never called anybody to pick their brain on how to start a business, because I just did it myself. Right. Because all the information is there on YouTube. I mean, people have documented their entire lives from, social, makeup stuff to, beauty, fashion, I mean, to businesses. I mean, if you want to learn how to do anything, you want to learn how to be a welder, you can do YouTube University welding and take classes on how to be a welder. Yeah. Food truck information, I found a lot on YouTube that helped me kind of figure out the direction on how to get my permits, how to cook. I mean, how to make brisket. I learned.
That was gonna be another question. I was like, were you a cook before? Or?
Man, I downloaded Masterclass. I paid the $295 for the year.
Okay.
I did Aaron Franklin's Masterclass. I did 4 or 5, sessions on YouTube. I hired a pit master that made really good brisket.
Yeah.
Learned off of him. And then with all the information that I learned off of tutorials and Masterclass, I trained other people to make good barbecue too. It's not rocket science. All the information is there. Nothing is original. Like all the people, all these chefs that get uptight about their recipes, I'm like, you can just find a recipe online. It's not that complicated.
Yeah.
Being good at it is another thing, right? That's the hours and years and days of practicing is how you get good.
Yeah.
But
I know that when you start a business and then you get into the business and then, like you said, you're growing and you're expanding, and you do get to a point that you're kind of like, it's very lonely. Like you're talking about, like, you don't, you know what I mean? Not having the if you're, you have family, you have a good support system. And so you don't need anybody else really, because if you have that support system already. But I mean, like, you get to the point where you're like, I want to bounce something off of somebody that's at the same level.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
know what I mean? And kind of like so like you said, you kind of are gaining that. Like how do you kind of scratch that itch, right? Like how do you, when you're like trying to figure out like what's next, the next, you know what I mean? And kind of business minded stuff, not necessarily like tactical.
So still YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah. I still, and I follow a lot of restaurant entrepreneurs on Instagram. So I'm kind of absorbing a lot of what's there. And to be honest, there hasn't been many moments where I've run into an obstacle that I couldn't figure out off of information on the internet or just figure out on my own.
Yeah.
I'm very resourceful.
Okay.
That's kind of been one of my talents for like my entire life, is like, it used to be called my dad used to say it was like the easy way out, or trying to, fast track everything. I'm like, nah, I'm just like, I want to get to it. You know what I mean? Yeah, sure. I'm going to make some mistakes along the way and cut some corners, but if I want something done, it's going to get done.
Yeah.
So being resourceful, I haven't had many issues, figuring problems out. I would love to meet more people that I can bounce ideas off of, but honestly, it's like, they don't have time. I don't have time, so it's not like I have a list of friends that I can just, hey man, let's go get a beer tonight and let's go, let's talk about some ideas that I got. Cause everybody's busy,
right.
So, I mean, just following restaurant influencers, business influencers, there's a lot of BS out there with, with hustle culture in general. Right. It's like, just the whole, don't sleep, work every day. It's hustle. Yeah. It's all BS.
My friend talks about, the Gary Vaynerchuk's, like like he's like, oh, I can't stand it. Just they're always talking about you don't need to sleep, you don't need to do this, you need to do that, and I'm like, only good for a certain amount of time. Like after a while, like
that's actually why I like Gary V, because I mean he doesn't bullshit when it comes to sleeping. He says he loves sleep. He says he's actually one of the people that I actually I'm inspired by. Yeah, because I've actually met him and gone to his a convention and where he spoke and got to meet him and things like that. And I've actually listened to all of his audiobooks, follow his podcast, the whole nine.
Yeah.
He's one of the few that I think doesn't bullshit people about real life feelings and problems and things that you're going through. It's a lot of the other ones that are, the ones that like don't sleep and don't eat and starve yourself and just, go bust your ass until you have a heart attack.
Yeah.
I mean, I love sleep and I love spending time with my family and I love kicking back and watching TV with them and things like that. And I manage very well remotely. I have a team under me and I do a good job at, kind of having the right people in place. I have lost people along the way that were very valuable, because I mean, if anybody of high value, that will eventually grow and they're going to find some, want to do something else, So just kind of always being on top of bringing in talent, keeping good talent around you is about 99% of the problem.
Yeah.
The rest of it, all the legal back end stuff. I mean, get a good CPA, get a good lawyer. Yeah. That's the majority of your problems right there. I mean, CPA, lawyer, good staff.
Personnel.
Personnel. Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like what Gary Vee talks about when he's talking about all his people that he brings in at VaynerMedia and all that, right? Like something about they're going to go off somewhere. He said, why not it be the best experience while they're there? So that way, when they go out, they can, they're doing great things, but they know that you had an influence on their life and everything else.
One of the things that has stuck with me over the years, a friend of mine, Dan, he introduced me to this book called The E-Myth. Mm-hmm. And one of the biggest things that stuck out to me was hearing you need to remove yourself from your business to work on your business. If you're working in your business all the time, you're going to miss a lot of things and you're never really going to be able to grow. Right. I don't think that I would have been able to do the second location if I was owner operator inside El Camino every single day, focusing on making those things work. Right. I immediately hired a general manager to run the show. I oversee the general manager. The general manager oversees the staff. I'm not dealing with those day-to-day headaches, right? I'm not going to, pretend that I know how to do my own books. Mm-hmm. I mean, I have an 8th grade education, so I'm not stupid. I know how to read, financial reports and things like that. And I learned how to do that along the way. Right. But I'm going to hire a CPA and a bookkeeper, to handle those things. And even those people will screw you over or make mistakes that are very costly. So, educating yourself along the way and learning as much as you can about every topic. Yeah. But don't consume yourself with every topic in your business, with every department in your business. Yes, you're going to wear all hats at some point. Yeah. But it's important to remove yourself and find someone else to wear that hat so you can manage them and they can report to you. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, if you have a basic understanding of all of it, then you'll know that how to not get screwed over, and you can at least keep an eye on things, right? So I got a team for my inventory management that gives me weekly reports on all my on all the data on my liquor sales. So I understand that. A lot of bar owners, they just do it themselves or don't do it at all. So if you get audited, you're not going to have your paperwork in order, and or your employees are going to steal from you, and you're never going to know. Yeah. So like I said, removing myself from the business and delegating is really how I grew so fast.
I got you. I mean, and that's important because I think that most business owners get stuck into there used to be a commercial back home where it was like, I'm the manager, the janitor, the owner, and everything. I forgot. It was like some furniture company, and the guy was like, he was the front guy, he was the numbers guy, and he was the janitor guy. And it was like, I see most small business owners like that because they get so stuck in the business, and they're always in the business, and they can't separate themselves because they don't have the time. They don't hire that, or they don't get somebody to do that.
Most business owners don't really own a business. They just own a job. Yeah. They created a job for themselves is what they did. Right. If you own a business, you're an entrepreneur. You don't really work in your business. You own the business and people work for you. Right. So I'm lazy. I love relaxing with my family so much that I've gotten really good at managing other people and delegating so that I can have so I can own my own time. Yeah. I'm not doing all this so I can, die at 50 of a heart attack because I'm overwhelmed with the amount of hats that I got to wear to run all my businesses. Right. I'm doing this so I can enjoy my life and what time I have left and be there with my family. Yeah. And the only way I'm going to do that is by putting people that I can trust around me to run the business and I hold them accountable. And if they don't do the job, then you find somebody else that will.
100%, man. No, that's perfectly said, bro. I sometimes I'm kind of guilty of that same part too, but at the same time, my hang up is the trust part, right?
Of course.
It's not wanting to get screwed over, but at the same time, trial and error, and then going through that and then going, okay, we just haven't found that right person yet, and so it just becomes a people thing.
Trust is a difficult thing to have for sure. I give everybody 100% trust off the bat, but I am very realistic and I'm a really good people reader. Yeah. One of my favorite books is The 48 Laws of Power, and people think it's just some weird power trip book. It's not. It's just a book to help you understand human nature and how people move and how they operate and how you should respond to certain situations. And it's always different. Yeah. But, when it comes to trusting people, I'm okay with getting burned. You know what I mean? And I know when to expect it, and I know where my weak links and how people can, I see it coming before it even happens. Yeah. I've caught people stealing because I just knew that that's who they were and how they carried themselves. And I knew how I needed to look out for those people. Mm-hmm. I know how relationships are going to end before they even end. Mm-hmm. And I'm usually right. My wife thinks I'm a psychic sometimes, or it's weird, but she finally understands now is just that I study, human nature, human behavior. and it's very easy for me to see things before they happen, and when they do happen, I already have a backup plan.
Gotcha.
So I think that just like anything else, man, with exercise, and I see you do jujitsu, right?
Yeah.
With any discipline, whether it's just weightlifting, jujitsu, being an entrepreneur, man, or working with people and delegating people, if you don't do it often enough, you're never really going to learn how to let someone else run your business or how to work with those people. So you got to get burned a few times so that way you can learn how to not get burned.
Yeah.
That's kind of the approach that I would take to it, is just do it. If there's somewhere, if there's some job in your business that would give you more freedom to let someone else, handle and also help you grow your business, do it. What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
They rob you blind,
right.
If you're looking out for it, it's going to be very difficult to.
Right. No, and I think like for me, it's reps, right? So like bringing the reps with people, like we have agents that come in and they're here for a little while, and then they're like, I'm gonna go do something else, or I'm gonna go somewhere else. But it's the same thing. You can kind of feel like if they're putting the rep in, if they're putting the work in, you know how they're gonna do, right? If they're not doing the things that they're supposed to do, you kind of already know like they're going to phase out, or they're
just dead weight, or they're just going to phase out.
Yeah.
So the thing with real estate that made me want to kind of try and get into it, but I'm overwhelmed with it. I got a lot going on with the bars. Yeah. Like I've told my wife, they're like, man, you should be a commercial real estate because I have built-in clientele. I got the food trucks. I can, over time build all these people up to help them get into brick and mortars. It'd be easy money, right? But
or even the consulting part,
even just the consulting part, yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely something in my mind that I've thought of, but I can give you kind of the approach that I would take, and I'll share it because it's just other people have done it, and I've seen them be very successful with it. And you can kind of look at what I'm doing with El Camino and take the same approach with it. But if you create a brokerage that, I guess back in the day they used to provide all the paper material, the printing, all the marketing material, right, and stuff like that, right, and that's in your fees, I guess your what you pay, out to the brokerage. Now with video being so important and photo being so important, really video and audio and stuff like that, I would provide a in-house marketing team and roll that cost into whatever your fees are and things like that, and bring more value to the reps that come in, because there's going to be a lot of people that are going to waste your time, but they don't owe you anything, like they really don't. Like if you're not providing value to them, then I don't blame them for leaving.
Sure.
So as a brokerage, I think, creating value for your client, which is your rep, because really they're their own business, right? Make it valuable for them to spend their time and earn you money.
Yeah.
And, provide that in-house marketing for them, super aggressive. I mean, over the top, like, hey, you're my rep. I'm going to invest this much time into you. This is what obviously it's not free.
Sure.
You're not paying nothing off of on the front end, but on the back end with the fees that you pay out for your commissions and things like that, that's where you're getting.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it costs money to do it, but creating that value for them and giving them the amount of marketing that they would otherwise have to spend hundreds or thousands of dollars monthly just to do, is where I see value. And, obviously you're going to pick and choose who you do that with, but I do it for my food trucks and look what it does for me.
Yeah.
Right. They're paying me rent, and my rent is not anymore, too much higher than the other food truck parks in town, but it's difficult for those food truck parks to compete with me in the sense of keeping tenants or even getting new tenants, because they provide no value outside of the real estate.
Well, before El Camino, like I didn't see any other food truck doing marketing like you're doing. Like, I mean, it just didn't do it. And because I'd been to other food truck parks outside of town, not necessarily in downtown, but in other parts of town, and going, but if they didn't do any marketing, you wouldn't know. Or if somebody didn't say, hey, we're going to go to this place, I would have never known it was there, because they didn't do any marketing. It was just like, okay, the food truck park's there. Unless the food truck did its own marketing, and then that's what brought you there, right? But then I started noticing, like you said, like I noticed in your videos, I don't see you. Like I see your sister, and then I see the other food truck, or you have a team member or somebody that's doing the marketing for you. So like I was like, well, that's cool, because it's not like it's either the food truck owner or your staff that's doing it for everybody else. And I was like, that's different.
Well, one, my sister has a prettier face than me, so you know, I don't. You know, it's not that I don't like being on camera. It has nothing to do with that. Is that I need my business to have an identity of its own, and I need each truck to have their own identity.
Okay.
Right. So, what benefit is it really for me to be the face of El Camino all the time, and for people to associate that El Camino just needs to be El Camino?
Yeah.
You know, when you think of McDonald's, you don't think of the dude that founded it. You just think of McDonald's. McDonald's is its own thing.
Right.
Right. So that's the reason for it is that I didn't want to, you know, make myself the sole face of the business. Yeah. I thought it was more important to push the trucks individually and help them build their brands so that, one, they can be successful and feed their families and grow their businesses. But if they eat, I eat. Yeah. You know, period. That's it. If they're making money, the bar's making money, they can pay their rent, you know, and they can bring in customers that'll have drinks, you know, and they'll be successful. Yeah. You know, I've seen multiple, you know, trucks kind of build up a little bit of momentum and get a following and stuff like that, and try to go elsewhere to another park and immediately, you know, kills down the revenue because the other places don't provide the same value that El Camino provides. Yeah. You know, it's not really think about it. El Camino is not a prime location. It's not on a main street. Yeah. It's tucked away on Avenue B. You know, next to the VFW. Yeah. There's still tons of people that don't know that it's even there or where to find it or anything like that because it's not on the main road. Yeah. So, you know, but it's prime now because of the amount of foot traffic that we've brought to the area. Right. You know, and now you have all these new developments coming, you know, even more in the near future with Broadway and all that development and stuff. So, you know. Yeah.
No, it makes sense. I literally, when I started following it, because I think it came from, maybe it was I don't know if you remember, it was from your barbecue truck or from some other's truck, but it was like something about the video with the sandwiches. And I was like, that caught my attention, started following it. And then I was like, oh, it's a food truck park. And then it was like following all of that and going, oh, there's multiple trucks. And, you know, and it was kind of cool. Like all the lighting, all the way that it was laid out. And then I would tell people about it. And then they were like, I've never heard of it. I don't know.
Yeah, man, there's a couple million people here, so I still haven't touched all of that audience yet, right? Yeah. But I'm doing my best to you know, try and get people's attention. You know, Instagram and Facebook is free. TikTok is free. Yeah. So when I see people not putting any sort of effort into that, I'm like, man, y'all are missing crazy. You're missing out. You know. So Google's free. I mean, that's you know, the number one still. Yeah. So yeah, being aggressive on marketing is definitely what has set us apart from the rest of the businesses. But you know, I can take these tactics and do it with any business. I can open up a barbershop next year and do the same thing and stand out from the rest of the other barbershops, because business owners, just like I said, that they all they do is create jobs for themselves. Yeah. They also, the majority of the time that I speak to like a fellow business owner and things like that, they just look at it as an expense. You know, they think it's just cost money. Oh, I don't want to spend on that right now. Or, you know, or they think they know everything that's best for their business and they don't. You know, the thing that I've always been good at from the beginning is kind of holding myself accountable to my own BS and knowing that, like, hey, I don't have all the answers, you know, you know, that I need to like look at things outside the box, outside of myself, and like what is really important. Yeah. And the number one area that I've never been able to, the number one area where I have not stopped seeing value in is marketing. Yeah. You know, that's the one area where I'm like, I'm just not gonna skip. You know, not gonna skip on it. I'm gonna keep being aggressive with it. I mean, I own all my equipment. I have all my cameras. I got fast computers. I got cinema cameras. I got badass, you know, small cameras, cell phones. I mean, the whole nine. So we have all the tools to be aggressive with it. And I've trained, you know, a few people already. Right now, my marketing manager, his name's Andrew, great guy. You know, he's helped us take things to the next level. Previous to that, it was a guy named Oscar, and you know, he did well, and he learned a lot with me, and then he branched off and started doing marketing for other businesses. Okay. So, you know, it's something that I'm good at, and I'll always be able to teach other people how to do it. Yeah. No, I think that's an invaluable skill, because when I got into real estate, which was like 2006, bro, nobody even had a BlackBerry. Like, it was all
Blackberries came out. I was the first one to get one in the office
printing business cards.
Well, not just that. I mean, they still had the printing. They still had the business cards, but the marketing itself was archaic, right? And then everybody was, I had to say, it was older than me, so it was kind of like they either hired somebody to do it or they didn't want to learn to do it. And my mentor, she was like, that's why she hired me, because she was older. She was like, you help me with the marketing, you help me with this. And then that's where I started to see all the different like gaps. It was like, oh, okay, these people don't know what they're doing here. There's all these different systems and these different marketing, stuff being sold to you. And it was like, oh, this is the new thing. And everybody would just go do it. Right. And so, but then they never wanted to put the work into it. So it was like, they didn't want to learn it. They just wanted somebody else to do it for them. And so then comes social media, then here comes people that, I
changed everything.
I got a camera, like I can do this for you. And then you got like tons of realtors who are like paying somebody or somebody's team to come and film them, do their stuff. And they're spending thousands because they didn't want to learn how to do it.
Yeah.
They didn't want to put the work in. And so that's why that skill will always be marketable. It'll always be in demand.
Definitely we're in different times. And back in, the 2000s and the mid, teens, 2010 through 20, when social media started changing, previous to that, I think it was a lot easier to take advantage of people as a marketer or as any professional service in general.
Yeah.
It's because you don't know, you don't know how to make, print business cards on a professional scale and volume or make flyers and graphic design and things. The approach, the point of entry was a lot more difficult. Yeah. You had to actually take a little bit of school because Adobe didn't have online tutorials, at hand, ready to go. I mean, YouTube popped off in 2007-ish, right around there. So there wasn't a lot of information out there for you to learn it, to do it on your own. Now, really, there's no excuse.
Right.
But, even today, though you can hire a videographer to help you make content, and that could be a little effective, it's not going to be as effective as working with somebody who really knows what they're doing and can create, a game plan for you to generate more leads. Because, you making a video and posting it on your Instagram isn't necessarily going to bring you sales.
Right.
And there's a lot of companies out there that do a great job at it. But again, you're going to be spending thousands of dollars or paying out a percentage. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Because, it's not everybody can wear all the hats, and you don't need to. It goes back to me saying that, remove yourself from the business and delegate. Mm-hmm. It's perfectly okay to delegate the marketing responsibilities. You don't need to learn all of it, but you should educate yourself so that you don't get taken advantage of.
Yeah.
And hire a professional.
Yeah.
You can hire a basic videographer that maybe has a more affordable rate and is charging you only $1,500 a month, $2,500 a month to make you a ton of reels, right?
Right.
But you having an understanding of marketing and how to engage with your customer so that you can guide that videographer is where the value comes in. Because either you're going to pay, a lower rate and just get somebody that's going to point and shoot and not create any engaging content for you. But if you know what you're doing and you know how to talk to your customer, you can guide that person and save yourself some money.
Right.
Either that or, pay top dollar and get with somebody like me that can, give you all the keys to and bring you customers.
And I think so that was my biggest pet peeve with agents, that was like they always wanted just to throw money at it and not like be them and have their brand and it was always like this cookie cutter, like somebody else created it. It's not you. It doesn't even pertain to you. It's like, I just want to like set it and forget it. That's the line. It was like, I just want to set it and forget it. And it's like, you're spending money on what? You're just,
nothing.
It's just you're just throwing money away. And so, I think for me, it was, I was building people's websites and stuff like around 2008, 2009, because people, they're like, I just need a website. I don't know how to, and I'm like, like you said, I just kind of like YouTubed it or went on somebody's site and started learning how to do it. But it was a lot of like, just drop and paste and, drop and paste and stuff like that. So, but figuring out like, okay, shoot professional, either get it professional equipment, shoot photo, video, put it together, or like you said, put the money into somebody who knows exactly what they're doing and is going to drive you traffic. So, but I think that's something that sets you apart. I think that's something that not a lot of people know about. But at the same time, where do you see next besides your 2 projects that you got going on right now?
So that'll put me at 4 bars, 2 restaurants and 2 food truck parks. I'm probably going to kick back a little bit, and focus on those. Okay. Deals come all the time, man. I got realtors hitting me up every other day, like, hey man, I got this space. I just ignore them. I only answer like maybe 2 guys' phone calls and hear what they got. I definitely am interested in continuing the growth on the food truck park platform and the food court platform, because, it's commercial real estate on a smaller scale. Yeah. It's I can lease a lot and then sublease out, spaces to food trucks, bring in revenue. I mean, it's good money.
Yeah.
When it's great, it's amazing. When it's bad, it sucks, but it's a little safer to me than doing brick and mortars. I only double down on my brick and mortar concepts if I see that they can be very successful. But even then, I'm going to be very picky about expanding on those, because again, you only got one stream of revenue. Yeah. You got the bar and the food. That's it. It was one business.
Yeah.
Right. Food truck park have 7, 8 businesses on one business.
Okay.
So, take it easy for a little while. Focus on those. I'm actually getting back into marketing for other people. I'm picking up clients.
Okay.
Already. So I really want to get into the medical field with, the weight loss stuff with semaglutide, testosterone, things like that. So I definitely gonna start marketing for a business. I already have a deal in the works on that. And I'm going to be very aggressive with that, because, the amount of customers out there is endless. I mean, 80% of the country is obese and, overweight or whatever. I mean, there's endless amount of customers there, right? So medical is definitely something that I want to get into. Maybe even in the future, open up my own, clinic with some, my sister's she's a registered licensed nurse and all that stuff, and she's continuing her education. So maybe we'll do a business together one day. Cool. Maybe a barbershop. I don't know. I've been thinking about a lot of ideas. I want to do a barbershop, the medical stuff. I don't know, man. Build food trucks. Who knows?
Why not the music stuff again? I saw that one post with how your friend gave you the props and kind of the backstory of that of y'all's relationship.
I don't love music as much anymore. I'm like, it's weird. The older I'm getting, the less I actually like. The less I like hip hop.
Okay.
Rap and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I still listen to it. I mean, man, I grew up on gangster music.
I was gonna say the new stuff is
the
not
grimiest, like craziest gangster music. I love it. But now with the girls and stuff, I got little girls, and even with myself, with being level-minded, being calm in my head all the time, even when I'm dealing with a lot of stress, the last thing I need is some amped up music. So I really don't care for, I like just chill electronic music, something that's going to calm me down, you know what I mean? And so I can think clearly and things like that. So music, maybe not that. Music videos also, like, it's just, the money's not there, and I'm so money driven that it's just has like of no interest to me to like do anything super creative. To me, being, working with all these other types of businesses and getting into the medical stuff and maybe even doing a barbershop in the future, building my own businesses and marketing my own business is my way of being creative.
Yeah.
Like with El Camino, with Ike Chula, the new concept that I'm doing, I mean, man, I painted that thing from top to bottom. I had my artist Scotch go in there.
Yeah.
He's a great, muralist. He did, I don't know how many thousands of square feet of wall, ceiling, and floor that we're doing in that space, but the whole thing is a mural.
Yeah.
We're about to do the floors in 2 weeks or whatever, and it's going to be crazy.
That's cool.
But, I get to be creative in my businesses, and that's basically, instead of music, now my creativity is focused on building businesses and doing cool stuff like that. That's so, awesome. Who knows, man? I'll get into something different. I mean, I think my life dream right now is build enough businesses to where I can live remotely wherever I want. My parents have a place in Argentina. They live in Buenos Aires and Mexico and Chicago. Wow. So, if I can get my own places or piggyback and just take the family and just take the girls and chase good weather. I mean, that's kind of like my goal is make enough money to where I can, live off US dollars in other countries.
That's dope, man. How old are your girls?
3 and 2. Yeah, back-to-back COVID babies, 15 months apart.
That's crazy. Mine's she's gonna be 9 next month, man. So
oh, nice.
They grow really fast, bro.
Yeah, no, I see it already, man. I see my 3-year-old, and I'm like, she's like a little girl now. She's not a baby. It's like they go from baby to like people.
Yeah.
Like, real fast.
She thinks she's an adult because it's just her. So like she's always just around us. So it's like, I'm like, we're having conversations that I don't think we should be having right now at 9, 8. Yeah, you know what I mean? And I'm going like, wow. like how? And it's just like YouTube.
I mean, if somebody handed you an iPad when you were 3 years old,
True.
back then, if you go back in time and hand yourself an iPad, you really probably wouldn't know what to do with it.
Right.
You know, the level of intelligence that these kids have now because of what they're exposed to daily and what they have access to is crazy.
Yeah.
You know, to see my girl like figure out how to use my iPhone, I'm like, that's kind of crazy. Or to go on Google Maps and like this is where we are.
Knows exactly
like she
how
knows
to do it.
Yeah, she knows how to do it.
I saw her. She was doing something on the iPad yesterday, and I'm like, "How are you, Dad?" She's like, "YouTube, Dad." That's her answer to everything. She's like, "YouTube," and I'm like, "Okay."
There you go.
Yeah.
See? Kids know.
I don't know.
YouTube.
So I was gonna ask you one last thing on the family front. So are you like between? Well, your sister's involved with it too, but like everybody else, your other sister, like, is she involved? Is it as well?
So I'm a single owner operator.
Okay.
In my businesses. My sister has her own. She has La Elotera, and then I actually sold her one of my trucks, and she's going to be doing an ice cream truck soon.
Okay.
So she's building her own path, and you know, helping her out along the way here and there. But you know, she works very hard for what she has, and you know, she's doing her thing. Maybe one day we'll do a business together, man. But honestly, with family, it's very hard. You got to have a solid. It's just tough.
Communication.
You know? Communication is tough.
I was watching something on Netflix, and it was like a chef show, and it was talking about how his wife and then I think it was his sister, they all like became of the business. Like it was just him, and then the wife came in because she worked for him, and then all of a sudden she became the wife, and then they brought the sister in to do something else. But they're like, usually that never works, but our communication between the three and how they operate and how they communicate that to the restaurant. And I was like, that, I don't know, that's rare.
Working with family is tough.
Yeah.
You know, I think with siblings, I can see it being possible, you know, because you have a different type of relationship. It's more of friendship.
Yeah.
Right. But my sister and I, my sister Naomi, she's closer in age to me than Penny. Penny is my younger sister.
Okay.
She's 21. Right. So she's a little more like easier to guide.
Okay.
You know, Naomi will listen to advice and especially when it's something that she wants to go through that I've already gone through.
Okay.
But you know, she's strong-minded too, so we'll bump heads a lot because, you know, she'll be right, I'll be right, you know, and it just doesn't work. With parents though, like my mom worked for me for a while and you know, she's great, man. She's helped me, you know, with my kids and helped me with my businesses and stuff like that. But it is very difficult to work with moms, you know, because you can't tell them anything without them taking it extremely personal. Versus if I tell one of my managers, hey man, you're slacking on this, this, and this, why is this happening? Can't tell it to your mom, you know, so it's a little bit different, you know, and hard to work through. So now, you know, we're in a really good place now that, you know, I'm doing what I'm doing and with the businesses and growing and things like that, to where, you know, I'm hoping to just hopefully retire my mom one day and leave it at that, right? But with my siblings, I definitely want to help them, you know, figure it out and whatever path they go down. With my younger sister being in, you know, getting her nursing license, I'm telling her, hey, keep going to school so you can be a a nurse practitioner or, you know, be a medical director, and we can open up our own things, because I see the amount of money that these types of businesses can make. And if you want to be a medical and go work in the hospital, cool. But if you want to set yourself up for life, either go be a medical, a nurse practitioner, or be a doctor, or do what you got to do so that we can open up our own, you know, practices for, you know, med spas or something like that, right? Yeah,
and I think that's for, I don't know if this is because it's like the internet or like the gig economy or whatever you want to call it. Like I'm pro like do your own thing, right? And it's like, there's corporate jobs. My wife is one of them. She's an RN but she works for a pharmaceutical company. But it's corporate world, man. Like it's and their jargon and their processes and it's just I don't know. It kind of irks me because it's kind of just the way the big company thinks and how they operate. For sure.
You know, and you're wired that way. Yeah. You know, and that's okay. I am too. Honestly, I've never kept a job longer than 2 years. You know, I've had maybe 2 jobs for 2 years, and the rest of them are like less than 3-4 months. Yeah. You know, so I think my longest job ever was a strip club. But I'm not wired to work for anybody, and school was difficult. School structure was difficult, but educating myself wasn't. I love to learn
Yeah.
about things that I'm actually interested in.
Yeah.
You know, so when it comes to working or being an entrepreneur, I think that for us it makes sense. And when you see, you know, somebody in the hustle culture and the hustle influencers talk, it resonates with you differently because that's truly how you're wired and how you feel like that you should operate, right?
Yeah.
But the majority of the world ain't like that. A lot of people are meant to be employees, and that's perfectly okay. You know, I think that it creates a lot of like depression and kind of like maybe even pain for people to hear those types of things and feel like they're falling short of you know what the world expects of them, because you have all these dudes talking about how you should hustle and not go work for anybody. You know what I mean? Like, so I relate. I can pull myself out of, you know, my body and kind of like look at it from both sides, and like I don't really force that stuff on my family too much, because I don't want to make them ever feel. I've seen it already happen to where it's like they feel like they're not doing enough, you know.
Gotcha.
And so I mean, you know, nothing wrong with having a job. I think I encourage it with people around me, because a lot of people will hit me up and ask me like, hey man, should I make this life-changing decision of quitting my job and this and this and this, and I always tell them no. Okay. Like, you should keep your day job. You know, I support whatever decisions they make, you know, friends that you know, hey, if you really want to do this and you got that nest egg and you can afford to leave your job and be okay for at least a year, yeah, man, do it. Jump in head first, you know. I was like, but I don't like saying that to anybody, because if they fail, who are they going to blame?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and I think it becomes self-awareness is part of it, right? Like, especially when you're talking about like reading people and being able to understand, like, you know, somebody's going to have the hustle, like have that, they're going to work hard, right? They either they work hard as an employee or they're going to work hard on their own, whatever it is. They just need somebody to kind of show them. And a lot of times the people that I come across they're like, hey, I'm thinking about real estate. And it's like, I do that. I'm like, man, it's hard. It's not for everybody. It's not like, you know, HGTV. It's not like the real whatever, like $1 million listing and all that. It's not like that. But if you want to know what it's like, I'll be happy to tell you. Like, I don't mind giving you all the good and the bad.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, you have to make that decision if you're going to work or not. And so, like, when I come across people that I'm like, they got that work ethic, and then they have the interest of doing something on their own, and then they come to me, I'm not going to push it on anybody that goes, hey, you should go on your own and go do this. Like, yeah, that's 100%.
Yeah, for sure. It's usually when people ask. But even then, I think that the people that have to ask for help, majority, not all the time, majority of the time, don't follow through all the way either.
Yeah.
You know, they might express interest in real estate or being an entrepreneur or getting into a food truck and things like that. And they might even take the steps necessary to get there.
Right.
But I've seen them fail because they need help and they don't know how to ask for it. You know what I mean? Or they ask for it, but they want everything handed to them. You know what I mean?
That's the biggest one I think I see the most. But it is what it is.
It's the ones that don't ask that I see be successful. Like people that are like me, like you, like, you know, that you don't even, you just figure it out. You YouTube it, you figure it out, you read on it. You might ask a friend or whatever, just like kind of for some direction. Hey, where did you go get your license or something like that?
Right.
But you're taking the initiative and going out and doing the legwork yourself. You're not calling somebody and asking for a step-by-step playbook on how to do something, you know?
Yeah.
You're just doing it.
Yeah.
You know, guys that, you know, take the last bit of their money and go buy a lawnmower and start a landscaping company and just go out and knock on doors. Those are the guys that I think that end up becoming the most successful, because they didn't wait on anybody to take the initiative to go out and make money.
Yeah.
That's
the ones that have been successful where I'm at is the ones that just said, just point me in the direction. And
exactly.
I'm going to go.
Yeah. They didn't ask for anything more than the direction or a contact, you know, and then they did the rest.
Yeah. Yeah. No, 100%. Well, bro, I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate everything that you're doing here in town. And I think that it's awesome. I think that I can't wait for your restaurant to open.
Me too, man. It's killing me right now.
Just
like
because
3 months behind.
It's all good though, man. I mean, things happen for a reason, and I think it's going to be successful just based off of your story and just who you are. And yeah, man, I just appreciate the time and to get to know you at the same time and just to see where your journey goes, man.
Sure, man. Likewise, man. Thank you for having me on. It was a good conversation.
Absolutely, bro.
Hope to do it again sometime.
We'll do. All right, brother. Have a good day.
Oh, you too, man. Thank you.